Welcome back in, everybody, to another One Piece post-game video. Today, we're here to read through the comment section and just see what everybody's theorizing. What is everybody talking about in regards to Zoro's ultimate plan to save Elbaf? What do people think about Brook, Jarul, and the God Knight? It's time to find out, brothers. So, with that being said, let's just hop right into it. So, top comment says, I think Zoro's plan might actually be to ask Dorry and Broggy who's stronger, yeah? I've seen that this is a growing sentiment among people. They love this idea, and honestly, I like it too. Do I think that this is Zoro's plan though? No, but I wouldn't hate it, like I said. You know, when it comes down to asking Dorry and Broggy who's stronger, this could theoretically work, because they do still retain some of their personality. It's just the evil version of themselves. And we do know that they fought for 100 years at Little Garden. So maybe they are just easily rage baited into doing that 1v1. I guess one way to look at it is that maybe he wanted to unsheath his blade to draw their attention. Like he whips out the sword and just boom, Haki everywhere. And they're like, whoa, what's going on here? Maybe that's it. But we will see. I've also seen a lot of people saying, and I really like this as well, but people are saying, hey, if the God Knight's goal is to actually take the kids off the island via the ships, why not destroy the ships? The ships are near the village. Maybe that's what Zoro's gonna do. He just runs on by, cuts the ships in half, and boom. Where will the God Knights go? How are they gonna take the kids to Marie's Raw? Will they simply spawn in another ship? I don't know if they have that ability, man. They said, Zoro will taunt Dorry and Broggy to argue and fight each other. Yep, there we go. Like I said, popular theory, and I'm all for it. I saw one the other day, and they were saying that Zoro's gonna bring in Mr. 3, which, bro, if Mr. 3 somehow comes to this island, like Cross Guild shows up, or Killingham pulls out Nightmare Mr. 3 from Dorry and Broggy's memories, that would also be a lot of fun. When it comes to One Piece, I've always said this, I'll stand by it. The sillier something is, the more I do enjoy it. You know, if it's funny, man, I'll go with the flow. Killingham would just summon a severed monkey tail for Sai. That's a legendary one, man. So yeah, this is a deep pull. And it goes back to my childhood. There's a few times in my childhood where I thought I was legitimately haunted and I was a little bit scared. But there was one time when I went to the bathroom and as I was pissing, I could have sworn that I saw a severed monkey tail just floating through my shower curtains. And I was so scared. I remember I didn't even like pull up my pants yet. I was a little kid, to be fair. I didn't pull up my pants yet. I was just peeing on the floor, just running out of the bathroom. I couldn't handle it, dude. And to this very day, I never saw it again. So maybe I pissed on the monkey and it just didn't want to come back for more. It said, hey, I'll go haunt the next kid. This one just took a piss on me. Ah, dude, that damn monkey. These thorns are ripping my skin. Wait, I don't have skin, Brook. To be fair, Brook didn't have the thorns on him. Brook was one of the Straw Hats that fought Gunko. So he's actually wrapped up in Gunko's arrow bandage thing. But if he had thorns on him too, yes, it probably wouldn't work. Granted, Sommers did say that the thorns are as tough as iron, so maybe that would kind of hurt, right? You know, it's one thing to be pricked by a regular thorn, but iron thorns, kind of scary. You may be able to control my mind, but one thing a giant always keeps is his pride. Jarul 2026. Yeah, dude, Jarul, he's doing so much good PR for the Giants. Him, Loki, Harold. I came into Elbaf as a giant hater, but I'll admit, man, these giant goobers, they're kind of growing on me. I think Goldberg's idea of eating the Holy Knights might actually work if the giant stomach acid can dissolve the Holy Knights faster than their regeneration and might even kill them. But if it isn't faster than the regeneration, they might dig out. Yeah, I would not want to be the giant that has to test this, brother. You know how awful that sounds? Like, hey, it's a 50-50 chance. You either kill a God Knight by eating him, or that God Knight is gonna pop out of your stomach like a xenomorph. Ah, you know, decisions, man. Maybe I'll just fight him instead. This is a good idea, and this is very interesting. Yeah, Goldberg did say that maybe we should try eating them. And that's so silly that maybe that would work. I don't know. Like, if they had Conqueror's Haki, I'd say sure. But if they don't have Conqueror's Haki, then I don't know. What would that even look like? You just bite down and your teeth are hockeyed up. They're all black. And then they're like, oh, I can't regenerate that fast anymore. Ooh, no, not the stomach acid. This is a fun idea. Maybe there is an iteration where this does work. It goes back to a really odd line we got a long time ago from Prince Stelly. I don't know if you guys remember Stelly, but that was like Sabo's adopted brother. But Stelly, when going to the Reverie, he talked about giants. And he said, oh, I heard giants, their spit can dissolve rocks. Of course, that's not a real thing. Spit doesn't really dissolve rocks, giant or no. But maybe they were kind of cooking. You know, maybe spit works somehow. Maybe bodily fluids actually do neg the Holy Knights. Kind of like the severed monkey's tail. I don't know. I feel like that'd be a little bit odd, but I wouldn't mind the idea. You know, there's got to be a reason Oda brought this up. It's either a joke or a hint. We'll see. Brook is going to pretend to be a Draugr and bonk Gunko, similar to what he did to Mother Carmel's photo. Funny enough, Brook does look like a Draugr. I mean, it's essentially just a giant skeleton, so yeah, Brook fits that description, just a lot smaller. So, I don't know. I feel like you'd be able to notice, right? Like, oh, like, why is this Draugr the size of a regular person? And plus, they know that Brook exists too, right? It's not like Brook is a mystery character. They know that Brook is a part of the Straw Hats. So if they do get surprised by this, I would be shocked. But I could see it happening, simply because they do look so similar. And, you know, going back to the Mother Carmel photo scene, that was a gag, right? Brook dressed very poorly as Luffy, and it worked. So, you know, when it comes to One Piece, you know, these silly little things could actually happen. And we do know that a Brook-Gunko confrontation is actually in the cards, so I wouldn't hate it. I guess I would just wonder how effective Brook would actually be in a fight against Gunko-Emu. Like, surely Emu isn't going to lose to Brook, right? Unless Gunko starts fighting back on the inside, I can't imagine an attack is going to go crazy. But hey, you know, Brook does have soul-based attacks. We don't know how Emu's magic works yet. For all we know, soul attacks actually do work against Emu. Maybe soul attacks are super effective against all types, or just magic types. That would be fun. When it comes to Emu, I would love it if all the Straw Hats got one good shot in. Doesn't have to work, but just a shot in so that we could see what does and doesn't work, you know what I mean? Here's the fun idea. Bonney makes Jarul and maybe even Scopper younger back to their prime. Emu would have to reverse a lot of people to win. Yep, we talked about this in the video. And yeah, I do think that Bonney could very easily just de-age Jarul to his prime self. Scopper, sure, why not? Make him younger too. Bonney is such a wild card. Bonney could legitimately change the battlefield. She could make Jarul a lot younger to his prime. Scopper the same. But she could also age up some of the Straw Hats. Like, I would be amiss if Luffy was not stronger in his 40s, right? We've seen how 40-year-olds rock in One Piece, brother. Yes, please age Luffy, Zoro, Sanji up and just get them in their middle-age prime self. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Will that actually happen? I don't know. I feel like Jarl is the most realistic option here, but we'll see. We will definitely see. At some point, we will have to see Bonney, so I am down for it. And of course, you know, if Bonney does end up awakening her fruit, who knows what she could do then? We talked about how, you know, Luffy might be able to give people Gear 5th powers, kind of like his own version of Domi Reversi. Bonney could probably do the same thing. Right now, her powers alter herself, but if she awakens, she should realistically be able to alter people too, to an alternate reality version of themselves. So yeah, Bonney is going to be instrumental here, and in the final saga in general. This says, if you look at the panel where we see the captured Straw Hats, you can see Sommers at the back sitting there, and on the double spread, Sommers said he's going to take a nap. It's going to be funny seeing Sommers waking up to getting his ass whooped by Sanji. Also, it looks like Sanji is going by himself to rescue the Straw Hats dash fight Sommers, because the last time we saw Gabon and Chopper, they were in Gerd's hand, and she's currently on her way to save the kids. Okay, let me go back and check all of those things real quick. Give me 1 second. All right, so first up, I'm looking at the Straw Hat panel. If I'm correct, there's only one in this entire chapter, and it's after Kashi gives the map. So just saying that to make sure we're looking at the same thing. It's right below that. And if that's what you're talking about, I don't see Saint Sommers. If you're referring to like that blackened thing in the back that Robin's looking at, that's simply the library on fire. Robin even says that verbatim while looking in that direction. So I do not think that is St. Somers at all. So now for the second instance, you talk about Gerd having Scopper and Chopper in her hands. I see that. And then she runs off to join Roto, but we don't see the Straw Hats in her hands as she's running. It looks like she has one fist up that's clenched. I don't think Scopper and Chopper are in there. And then for the other one, the backhand, it's also clenched, so I don't think they're there too. I think she might have dropped him off. But it is interesting because we do not see Scopper or Chopper for the rest of the chapter. So they could be with her, like, inside of her clothes, or maybe they are just in the fist. So that one is more up in the air. And I do think that, of course, Scopper would want to save his son. So that one I'm willing to believe, for sure. But as far as Somers' location, I don't think he's with the Strats. I don't see the panel you're talking about. We have the one I talked about earlier, and then we also have two other panels of Usopp and Nami just talking about Jarul's speech, and we don't see anyone in the background. So for Gerd, yes. For the Straw Hats, I'd say no for now. Unless I'm just missing the panel entirely, which if I am, feel free to let me know down below. It makes a little bit of sense to me that the others didn't reach the Sun Realm before the flashback ended, because if the flashback started when Loki went to the castle, then there wasn't much to say after that. Loki probably wouldn't have used all 3 minutes telling Hyrden what happened on that day alone. Okay, I see what you're saying here. You're saying that they didn't use all 3 minutes. Like maybe the flashback was actually 1 minute long, and that's why Sanji, Zoro, and everybody else is still like nearby and they can catch up to him. Yeah, that's totally fine. No real issues with that. That could be the case. I'd like to imagine it did take all 3 minutes because it was like 2.5 chapters for us, but either way, semantics. It's just one of those things that felt really odd at the time because Luffy and Hyrden said, hey guys, go on ahead. I gotta listen to this flashback. And then we cut over and they're all just like still right there. So maybe you are cooking. Maybe the flashback was like 20 seconds. Like, hey, Hyrden, let me tell ya, I didn't do it. Cool, let's move on. Time to go to the Sun Realm, guys. Jarul, using the biggest transponder snail we've ever seen. That snail looks as big as the Mary. Yeah, it's a big snail. Is it the biggest we've seen, though? Not too sure. Because we do have to remember that Loki did have a snow-resistant Dendenmushi in the underworld. That's how he was talking to Mosa, and that one was also absolutely massive. And then another example of massive snails would be with the Vinsmoke army, because all of their ships are actually controlled by giant snails. That's how they get above the red line and everything. So yeah, we have seen big snails before. Is this the biggest? Maybe. If I had to like tier list it, I'd say Loki's is the biggest, then this one, and then the Jerma fleet. No, the Jerma fleet, man, they got like castles on them, but it's human castles. I'd say Jerma fleet ones are massive, dude. I don't know. I might give Jerma fleet number 1. Yeah. Unless I'm like misremembering their size, they were huge. It was an entire army of them too, and it created its own island. It's tough. This says, Emu flips Zoro. Zoro gets wings and a halo since he was already a demon. I love this fanfiction. He becomes an angel. Is it possible? Zoro's plan is to ask Dorry and Broggy which one is stronger, triggering another fight between the two giants like on Little Garden. See, another thing with this is I do wonder, if this does happen, Dorry and Broggy start fighting each other because Zoro's rage baiting them, could Emu just realistically say, hey guys, snap out of it? Because Emu is here. Emu's the one who Domi Reversi them in the first place. I'm assuming Emu can give them orders. Like, hey, stop, guys. Hell, Emu was able to control rocks to the point where he was going to kill his wife and son. I'd like to imagine if this does work, it's only going to be for a little bit. Maybe they throw a couple of blows at each other, and then Emu's like, hey, guys, back to your mission. And then boom, Dorry and Broggy are under their control again. Jarl's speech got me hyped up. Like a Gurren Lagann speech, it's so good. Dude, I just got home from work, got a little smoke and saw your video, played it while I was opening League with your video in the background, and I suddenly hear you talking about League. You had me tripping, dude. Hey, man, I love League of Legends. League of Legends, Deadlock, I play all the games out there. League, sad to say, man, I'm only Plat. I peak at Plat, but it's fun nonetheless. I am a jungle main. I primarily play Fiddlesticks, Kha'Zix, and Viego. And yeah, I'm like a one-trick pony. I never leave my damn jungle, brother. And that's just how it is. League of Legends, it'll ruin your life. Never hop onto it. I think Sanji went in the elevator because Chopper said Gabon's condition is bad and he had to be gentle. That's a good point. That's something I mentioned last week where I was like, hey, you know, like, Sanji, why did he go to the lift if he was simply skywalking last chapter? Could just be because of this. Like, hey, like, I want to get the 411. I want to know what's happening in Elbaf. And also, I don't want to injure Gabon any more than he already is. I like that. And on that day, the bravest giant was named Roto. Roto's crazy, man. You know, when it comes to his little brother, he's not messing around. I'm excited to see how he performs. I don't think it's going to be well. Like I said in my last video, and like I kind of said here, I think Ripley, Gerd, Roto, like if you don't have Conqueror's Haki, I can't imagine them beating the God Knights. I really can't. We saw what St. Somers did to Saul off screen. Off screen, Somers beat him. And it's like, dude, Saul is strong. You know, Saul isn't a pushover. As much as I don't like Saul, he is decently powerful. So Roto, Gerd, Ripley, Goldberg versus Somers, I don't believe in him, brother. Maybe they'll get a nice drop on him where, you know, they catch him off guard, they knock him off the branch or something like Robin tried to do. But we'll see. We'll see. I am rooting for him, though. You know, Roto showing out for his brother I thought was really cool. All right, so because everybody and their mothers were talking about Zoro's plan, you know exactly what I had to do. I had to hold a poll about it. Here we go. What is Zoro's plan, actually? There are 4 options on the board. The first option simply says that Zoro will find a way to beat Domi Reversi. Which, right here, we have an image of Zoro actually playing Reversi. He is losing, but he's playing Reversi nonetheless. And we did see that, interestingly enough, Jarul did figure out that this is a game of Reversi. And even hired and said, hey, let's not get in between these guys. You know, that's a bad idea. So maybe we will find an actual way to beat Reversi thanks to Zoro. Maybe you do get in between them. 2 white pieces, turn a black piece white again. Maybe Zoro actually flips them upside down. But in this poll, we got 11% of people believing in that. Whereas the second option is taking all the votes with 58% going to just beating them up. Yeah, as much as we'd love to imagine Zoro has some kind of master plan formulated in his mind, in reality, Zoro could just say, hey, my idea is to send them back to hell. Ha ha ha! Send them back to their makers. Let me cut off their feet so they can't march forward. It really could just be like that, man. You know, going back to some of his plans, people are like, oh, you know, he created the X in Alabaster. He did this, he did that. But here's the thing. For every ingenious plan that Zoro has, he has a lot of sillier plans on the side. You know, he's got like 2 times the amount of silly plans out there. Like, oh, let me just cut off my arm to fight Jabra and Kaku, and then we'll just get it reattached by Chopper. That was his Genius Lobby's plan. And then we had Dressrosa, where Zoro was like, hey, my plan is to cut Pika in half. Ha ha ha. Yes, Zoro could realistically just say, let's cook him, man. The third option right here is that he could trick them into fighting themselves, which, you know, going back to the comment section, you guys saw that a lot of people do like this theory. And like I said, while I like it, I don't think that's going to be it, simply because Imu would just take them right back over. But yes, 21% of the votes did go to that right there. And now for the last option, of course, like I said, I put other, and this usually encapsulates just anything people can think of. One idea I've seen being cropped up a lot recently is people saying, oh, he could just cut the branch off. He cuts the branch off and all the giants fall to the underworld. I think that's a fine idea, but the problem with that, there's 2 main issues. One, a lot of people say this is plausible because when Frankie was walking with Ripley, they saw a branch that was cut. And it's like, okay, that's cool. Maybe that was foreshadowing, but at the same time, Zoro didn't see that. You know, maybe Zoro doesn't think that's a possibility. And 2, if you cut the branch off, I'm not too sure how the whole tree is connected right now. It's not like we exactly see the floor plan and what is covered by branches, what is covered by cloud, and etc. But if Zoro cuts it wrong, he could destroy the whole village. You know what I mean? Like, he could just get a lot of innocent people thrown into the underworld as well. So unless he like cuts out a perfect piece around them and it's a cloud, that could backfire. And now for the last reason why I think this might not really work is because the Domi Reversi giants have wings. You know, of course, we haven't seen them fly yet, but Dorry, Broggy, all the giants in that army, they have devil wings. We see that Imu is flying with devil wings. If Zoro's plan is to knock them to the underworld, they're simply gonna just come right back up. So yeah, I think this overall is not a great idea, but we'll see. We will definitely see about that. So now, as far as what I would vote for, here's the thing. We all have ideas and theories that we love, things that we want to happen, but reality often has other plans. For me, I would love it if Zoro actually did find a way to beat Domi Reversi. If Zoro started flipping giants upside down, sending him back through the portal, bringing him back to our side, that would be ideal. But reality is calling me, brother. And reality is telling me that he's probably just gonna beat them up. You know, it's either he beats them up or he has some other plan that I have not predicted. That right there is where I'm currently falling. So on to the comment section. Let's see what everybody else is saying. We won't be here for too long. I'm assuming a lot of these are just gonna kind of be repeated. But let's see. I think he does have an actual plan. But the concept of him saying, don't worry, I have a plan, and then just beating them up too is good. Yeah, it sounds realistic, man. You know, we can all imagine that happening. That's the thing. Zoro's plan is cutting Elbaf kids' legs, then later asking Chopper to re-stitch them. Hey, the kids won't be able to make it to the boat if they don't have legs. They can't walk any farther, guys. Yeah. Instead of cutting the boats, we cut the kids up. Genius idea. You can't have hostages if the hostages are actually already dead. Luffy and Zoro are professional rage baiters. Zoro and Luffy share a brain cell. Although, to be fair, Zoro canonically out-strategized Crocodile with the whole arm covering the real symbol tactic. So, it could really either be brutally stupid or brilliant. Yeah, you know, heaven or hell, man. Heaven or hell. I've got a plan. You guys, do you have any candle wax nearby? Mr. 3 upscale, which is a Crocodile upscale, which is a Whitebeard upscale, which is a Zebek upscale, which is also a Barbell upscale. You're right. When one stock goes up, everybody ever associated with that character also gets upscaled. I love it. I love it. This is one of those situations where I can't even predict what it could be, but the idea of making them fight themselves seems reasonable since D&B always had their rivalry. But as far as we've seen, the way to beat Domi Reversi is the good old, yo, get that guy and beat him up thing, so I don't know. Yeah, who knows what's gonna happen. And also, talking about predictions and theories for a second, the reason I love reading through comments and the reason I love doing polls more than making theory videos, dedicated theory videos. I've had some people ask, they're like, hey, Sai, why don't you just make a theory video, man? Make a theory video, dude. The reason I don't want to is because there's a lot of good ideas out there. So when it comes to theories, you guys have seen how I talk about One Piece, right? Oh yeah, I could see this happening. I could see this happening. I could see that happening. Maybe it's something else. That's the thing with One Piece. There's so many legitimate ways Oda could write the story that have decent backing, right? We can see how all of these could actually be plausible. I like talking about all of those possibilities. I feel like whenever a theory video pops up, it usually just pigeonholes yourself into one specific idea. And because you're on that theory, you can't really, alter it. You can't really change it. You're just stuck with that one idea. I personally like to talk about all the possibilities. And, that's why, like, whenever one of these comes right, I never say, oh, look, guys, we guessed it correctly, or, oh, I got it. No, like, it's a community thing. I think a lot of people are like that, right? A lot of people have more than just one idea in their head, more than just one thing they can envision. So that's why I do just like having a general conversation over making a dedicated theory video. And if I do make a dedicated theory video, I usually do talk about the opposite effect. Like, oh, if I make a Domi Reversi video, it's like, oh, but maybe he doesn't do it. Realistically, maybe he just beats him up. I do like keeping the door open. So yeah, when it comes to One Piece, it's always good to just keep your vision as expansive as possible. And as an Asian, let me tell you, it's kind of tough sometimes with my eyes, but I try my best, brother. I try to be as open as possible with some of these theories, as long as they make sense. As long as they make sense. This says, I think it'd be cool if we get a mini flashback like Mihawk and Zoro playing Reversi, or something like that during the time skip. Yeah, we still don't know anything about Mihawk, and there are a good handful of people who do believe that Mihawk is a celestial dragon. If he knows the weakness and he told Zoro, that'd be kind of crazy. Would people like this though? I don't know. I wouldn't mind it. It would just have to be introduced well. Last time Zoro had a plan, it was left up to luck. What was this plan? He had a plan for Dressrosa, true. The luck plan. What was the luck plan? I don't remember this one. I feel like you're not lying though. I feel like this is a thing. I just don't know what you're talking about. But I'm gonna go with it. Zoro, I have a plan. Where's Usopp? I need my god sword. Yeah, give me the nose sword, man. He is gonna test out his Conqueror's Haki. That could be it too. You know, last we left off, Zoro did get scolded by Scopper about how he's not really mastering his Conqueror's Haki, how it's just leaking out and it's wasteful. Maybe his plan is to simply use him as practice dummies. Hey, there's no better opponent to do that on than these guys, right? Domi Reversi Giants, they regenerate, brother. Zoro, yes, you have the perfect targets right there. I believe that tricking them into fighting each other would be such a great payoff for the Straw Hats, having met them at Little Garden. It would just emphasize how important each and every island that we visited is. The journey matters, yeah. My only, like I said before, I'm repeating myself now. The only thing against this is that Emu could probably just snap him out of it. Emu just has such a great dominion over his Domi Reversi pawns that I feel like he'd say, hey guys, cut it out. Then they'd go back to just being slaves. But we'll see. With that being said, thank you guys so much for sticking all the way until the end of this video. I really freaking appreciate it. Let me know all your extra comments down below, all your other theories now that the official chapter has released. And I'll catch you guys in the next couple of days because the next chapter is on the horizon. The horizon that I can barely see because I'm Asian. Peace out and stay safe, y'all.